Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have a full show planned for you. First up, Logan Janis of Mostly Superheroes joins us to talk about Team Jakey. They've got a fantastic event that you'll be able to check out this coming Saturday, September 20th. After that, we have Kristi Grabow coming on to talk about the Wonder Museum. It's a Wonder Woman museum where all the proceeds benefit victims of domestic abuse. All that and more. Stand by.
Star Trek from Star Wars will try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're tuning in on the Big 550 KTRS, joining us from your car, your home, wherever it is you have a radio stashed, first of all, kudos for having a radio. Secondly, very happy to have you. If you're streaming us on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you out there watching. Thank you very much for doing so. If you're streaming us on the KTRS app or on the website, hello to all of you. And as always, if you're hearing this after the fact in the podcast version, we appreciate you finding us and subscribing there. Hopefully you've left us a 5-star review at this point. If you haven't, it just takes a few seconds. Just say something ridiculously nice about how good looking I am, or how great the show is, or wow, Joey V needs more camera time. Whatever you want to do, and just leave 5 stars and I'll be happy. Speaking of 5 stars, we've got Logan Janis joining us, who has a fantastic podcast. He's been on the show before, so I know you've heard us talk about Mostly Superheroes. If you're a fan of KTRS, the radio station, you've also heard the name because Randy Naughton talks about him nonstop, and also very complimentary on the More to Say podcast with Randy Naughton. He's joining us tonight to talk about Team Jakey and an event they've got coming up in my own stomping ground in Florissant, Saturday, September 20th. Thanks for the time, Logan.
James, good to be here. Hello, Geek to Me audience and KTRS. It's good to be back. And yeah, luckily we've got some good friends at KTRS. It seems like we're hanging out with you and Randy Naughton, and even the HW Kia folks helped Team Jakey out and had us on earlier this week. So, but always a real joy to be here on Geek to Me Radio, which is sourced, I promise you, the right way on the Mostly Superheroes podcast. If you check us out, you'll always hear us talking about the interview or the article or anything, any hot news in the space, right? Geek to Me Radio. So James, thanks for having us back.
Of course, absolutely. And this is it's fortuitous because I know we scheduled this about a month ago, I'm thinking. Does that sound about right? And then we've been talking a lot,
Two Rivers Comic-Con 2026. I think the countdown's on for both of us and for all of the partners that you're working with. And I see you waving at people in the window.
Yeah, there's outside the window right now, yeah. Logan's waving too, guys. You just can't see him. He's not in the window. Sorry.
He's in Shrewsbury.
Head down to Shrewsbury. You can wave at him down there. But and this event particularly, because this is something, as long as I've known you and the Mostly Superheroes and Scott and Andy, you guys have partnered with Team Jakey, because I almost make like Logan Janis, Mostly Superheroes, Team Jakey, it's synonymous at this point in my mind.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And that all came from friendship to begin with. Sam's a friend of mine, and we always say, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like sometimes, just you kind of straddle in. We all know that life is that bumpy road, and this is one of those topics that it's a good thing and a thing that started with a tragic thing, honestly. And this Saturday, September 20th, in Florissant, Missouri. I know you're a North County kid, James, and Andy always calls that out. And my wife is from up there too, and so we're going to Knights of Columbus on Saturday, September 20th, for the 12th annual Gentleman Jake's Memorial Cornhole Tournament. So what started as a cornhole tournament, that again started with a tragedy in the Zeller family 12 years ago. Jake lost his life to suicide.
Mhm.
And so, you've probably heard stories like this before. This isn't something that is news to you. This is something that's happening in the world. And Jake was one of those people that we do believe it shouldn't have happened to. And really, the cornhole tournament started as a reaction from the family, as a way to talk about it themselves and be truthful about ending the stigma. They believe that ending the stigma around mental illness and thoughts of suicide can literally save lives. So that first year, Uncle Mike Otten and the family said, let's have a cornhole tournament. And they raised $2,400 that very first year. And I'm really proud to say 12 years later, we've surpassed $400,000 raised for suicide prevention and mental illness in Missouri. That's Missouri dollars. Helping groups like the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Missouri and Provident Behavioral Health in St. Louis. And this year, as the 12th year, Team Jakey is now its own 501c3. And if you always forget if it's the C3 or the 3C, it's the C3PO. So Geek to Me Radio, that might help you remember.
Putting it in those nerd terms. Appreciate that.
We're proud of that. We get to be our own group, and we raised $50,000 last year.
That's impressive.
We're hoping to do it again. We're more than cornhole. It's 2 bounce houses, a weather-dependent helicopter landing, all you can eat and drink for spectators to come, amazing raffles, and anyone is welcome. This is great for families, individuals, and really, just to be up front, it's $30 at the door on Saturday, and we do have a deal for you, $25. You can learn more about the group, too, at teamjakey.org.
And we'll have a link to that if you're listening to this after the fact in the show notes. Hopefully you're hearing this Tuesday or Wednesday, so you still have time to get your tickets. It's Team Jakey, TeamJakey.org. There's all the details of the events and everything else they've got going on up there as well. And this event, again, happening at the Knights of Columbus right there in Old Florissant, right there kind of in the back of St. Ferdinand, the old St. Ferdinand Shrine right there, kind of where they have Valley of the Flowers in that same area, for those of you, again, who grew up in Florissant. And I mean, my gosh, $30, if you think about that, for all you can eat and drink anyway, that's worth the price of admission right there.
I think so. And, we like to say, if you're 21 and up, come ready to hang out, drink responsibly. But we have great partners in town that have brought those types of beverages to literally the table. And also we have water and soda and walking tacos and brisket and pizza. And, you might not like cornhole. You might not like raffles. We always say this is a time to come out, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. It really is one of those days where, we start at 11 a.m. and we go to about 6 p.m. It's one of those things where if you're playing cornhole, you can really hang out all day, and you can, we all, our cornhole teams are signed up for this year. So get in and play next year if you like cornhole for sure. Spectator tickets, though, we don't really cap that. And we expect a large amount of people to come out and see the raffles, the food, some people playing cornhole, and as well as that weather-dependent helicopter landing, 2 bouncy houses, a magician, a photo bus. This is really a time to hang out with friends, family, and maybe make some new friends. Again, teamjakey.org is where you can get all the info and even sign up to attend.
And you said the helicopter landing. I think that's fairly new. Like, you guys did that last year as well, or is this? I'm trying to remember.
We're lucky that we've been able to do it a few times.
Okay.
And we always stress, it is very dependent on weather,
right,
and real life emergencies.
Sure.
So if something changes, we always say, bear with us. But I've been lucky enough to see it in action. And I guess that's kind of like part of the, you're looking for that. It's a moment. It really is a moment. That brings out the kid in you to just have that kind of wind in your hair. You feel like you're on Jurassic Park or something.
Right.
And everybody's there just to, we always say we're the bridge to the mental health resources. You might be out there struggling, and Team Jakey's not trying to, necessarily be your therapist, but we're also there to have an open conversation with you to where you can feel it's a safe space. And we always connect people to that out there that are struggling to the national hotline that folks like Provident and the AFSP fight hard on the federal level to build, create and maintain, that's 988. And you can call or you can chat it. If you hit your low or if you know someone that's struggling, that's right there for you. 988. And then Team Jakey's like this kind of bridge. We always say like we're kind of the fun uncle of mental health, right? Like you can really just be yourself. You don't have to worry about like, letting out your guts, but if you want to, you can. And we want you to know that that's okay. And being vulnerable is a way of being strong. And nowadays we could all just use a little bit more of like open, warm connectiveness. And like Team Jakey, 12 years, that's really what it's about. So we raise a lot of money this event to do events and lunch and learns. We do industry focused efforts to help suicide prevention within certain groups that struggle. And we're trying to just help anyone that's looking for that help. So teamjakey.org, couldn't do any of it without Provident or AFSP and 988, but that's us.
And just with a lot of the stuff going on just this week alone, I mean, we're celebrating, I shouldn't celebrate is the wrong word. We're commemorating the anniversary of 9/11. There's still people who struggle with that, who lost family. There's a lot of just national tragedy and heartache going on. And I can't imagine a better time to have something like this that's letting people know that, everybody struggles. Everybody's working through some kind of, whether it's grief, depression, or anything like that. And the fact that this organization is combating as it says on the website, combating the stigma of mental illness and suicide and things like that. That's a very important thing, especially nowadays.
It is. And I think that we're in tandem with, correct me if I'm wrong, I have to Google it, but I know it's one of the two. It's Suicide Prevention / Mental Health Awareness Month, I believe. We're in the vein of that September where we're pairing with that. And I can't help but get back to the mission of Team Jakey, because I am the first non-family member to kind of be brought on to the board. And that's because the family is a grassroots family that has raised this money and worked with cousins and and everyone to make it happen and get the raffles together. And the network always came from that family. And it really comes back to remembering Jake and this light that was to so many people that I didn't get to know, but I was one of those spectators that joined the Cornhole tournament 2 years ago. And it really helped flip my perspective on just death and kind of uncomfortable things that we all have to deal with, but we don't talk about that often. All of a sudden, now it's like 12 years. Like I'm just seeing this life that we're celebrating, and it's a different way to go about things. I'm not saying we're breaking the mold on everything, but I think there's something good going on. So Team Jakey, the Zellers and Jake, but it's all led to, I really think we've saved a lot of lives, James, like to be honest, like there's so many real encounters. So, this could just change the trajectory for maybe yourself or someone, and it's just like a simple cornhole tournament with, good food and drinks and stuff. So Saturday, September 20th, that's just this week, teamjakey.org. Please come out and see us, support the cause, but also just get involved, come have some fun. And James, Geek to Me Radio, I just really appreciate you guys having us on to spread the word.
No, absolutely. I know one of the things I was listening to the episode that aired today with Randy, and they were talking about some of these amazing raffles and the silent auction things you have going, which those are always so fun. Maybe I'm the weird one who's like, a silent auction, you can do stuff without talking to anybody. And I just get it. But some of the prizes that were mentioned on Randy's show, those are impressive prizes. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Of course, please.
Yeah.
If you got the time, I can't help but shout out the entertainment, the raffles. Yeah, Randy's going to be there with her mini horse Uno. So come out and get your picture taken with Uno. We have a Voltron, the robot mascot. So as long as one of our 6-foot volunteers gets in that costume, you're going to get a picture with that mascot. And then the raffles, they're amazing. We have tickets to at least 5 shows at the Fabulous Fox, 5 different shows. We have Cardinals tickets with a press box tour field tour with Dave Glover from KMOX. We have Blues tickets. We have soccer tickets in a package. So like all the sports are covered. There's a golf bag with a brand new driver You can tell that I'm a huge golfer. Right? You can tell I'm the big golfer.
You had a bourbon one too that sounded impressive.
Say that again?
Yeah, I thought I heard something about a bourbon selection raffle that sounded very impressive as well.
Yeah, there's always a very big bourbon basket and wine basket separately. There's jewelry, there's beer, there's also just so many amazing gift cards and packs to all the best restaurants in the entire area. The restaurant network has really grown, and we have a really great food board. But the silent auction, the raffles, I always like to say that, it's a fundraiser, right? This is our flagship event. This is kind of our gala, the Team Jakey gala, where like we just raise so much of our funds at this event. So yeah, if you got the deep pockets, man, we're looking for that, and it helps so much. But if you don't have a dime, like, we have stuff for you. We want you to come out. We also have free tickets up for the event at mostlysuperheroes.com through our podcast. But even if you go to teamjakey.org and you say you just don't have the budget for this, we'll help you out and get you there. And we know that $25 might work for some folks. It might be a little tight for you, so let us know. But it's a fundraiser too. So you can get on the action. You can play raffles. We made everything really easy through our website, our new website, teamjakey.org, like to be really super user friendly. So you can see what we're about, read more about Jake's story, see pictures from the event, get the address to see if like this type of Saturday visit would be good for you. And I always say, like, if you don't have anything going on, it's a great day to go. And if you just need a good day, it's a good day. It's just one of those good days where you might make a friend, you might bring a friend and be like, whoa, this is just something different. So yeah, man, it's going to be a really fun time. The board, I am on the board. Like I mentioned, we have been working so hard just to make it amazing. We wanted to do less raffles this year because it's a lot to manage. And it's just so funny. We can't help it though. We were like, oh, we'll do 30 raffles or so. We counted today and went through them all in one of our board members' garages, and there were 80 raffles.
My gosh.
They're amazing. We got stuff from everybody.
That's so cool. And again, if people are listening to this, and maybe, some of my listeners, I know they're not in the greater St. Louis area. If you go to teamjakey.org, they have a donate via PayPal. So if maybe you've got a relative or a friend who struggles with mental health, or, someone that got help and was saved in the nick of time, this is a great organization. You can click the donate via PayPal button. So you don't have to be in the greater St. Louis area to help out this organization or anything like that. You can donate via PayPal from anywhere in the country. And it's just such a cool thing. If you're, like I said, if you're looking for something to do, maybe you just want to get out and about, or maybe you've got I know you said the teams are closed. You've got the teams locked up, but how far in advance, like someone's got a team like, oh, we missed out. How far in advance do you take signups for next year if they want to bring a team to play cornhole?
Well, I don't want to stress out our board too much by saying what we'll do. But the truth is, we want to do everything a lot earlier next year, just for the board's sake. The event is in September, so we're talking about trying to get ahead on everything. Signups, volunteers are such a part of what we do. We really couldn't even have this event without our volunteers running raffles and cleaning up trash and delivering food and everything. So like, you'll see the link for that at teamjakey.org. And sponsorships too. We have so many recurring folks that come back and help us out, and then new people too. It's kind of our late and great Mike Otten. He's one of the family members that we unfortunately lost last year, right before the event. And he was one of the biggest cheerleaders. He worked at St. Louis City SC, and before that he was in law enforcement for many years, but he got his dream job as in security at St. Louis City SC, and he helped facilitate getting those players to participate with the Team Jakey event last year. And you just look at that commitment and the way that these folks have really just put everything they have into the event. It's just no wonder that people come back again year after year. But there's, we have new partners coming up, and people like St. Louis City SC and the Cardinals and big teams that are jumping in, but even local businesses and so many individuals that just honestly usually have like some kind of personal connection to what we have. And, what I was about to say about Mike is he always said, we have this active audience, and I can't help but notice that. like we all know how it is in the world. Like it's everybody's trying to sell something, and it could be easy to be like, oh, this is a cornhole tournament. Please come out. We're trying to, but it's just grown into something more than that. And some of my closest friends have come out of this group, and now me and my wife are just really involved, and it just helps us feel good. It's almost like, if you're doing good service, man, St. Louis needs tons of that right now.
Yeah.
If you're giving those service hours, I just think that comes back and feels good inside for you too. So I think that's part of the message.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I want to make sure that if you're just now tuning in, you check out the website, teamjakey.org. Again, if you're scrolling through the show notes after the fact, if you're listening to this in the podcast version, and let's say you missed out, maybe this is September 21st, and you're like, oh, I missed it. There's still going to be that PayPal button up where you can donate for this event, this nonprofit, through their brand new website that Logan was just talking about, that I just mentioned. And I can't let you get out of here without talking about what's going on with Mostly Superheroes, because you guys are all over the place. I was just watching your interview with the and now the name is escaping me, from Police Academy. You just had him on that.
Michael Winslow.
Michael Winslow. I was going to say Winslow was the first name. I was like, no, that's not right. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, coming from you have great talent on all the time. I'll give you that praise. But yeah, Michael Winslow, like that was awesome. And we've got to do a lot of fun stuff with we're St. Louis. So like it's fun to work with the Fox and get to like interview some of the talent from the Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right.
That show was today. And we had the conductor from that show, Emily Marshall, on, and we got to interview. They had the Sailor Moon show come through, so we got to interview the Sailor Moon, the actor, and she only spoke Japanese. I had never done and she had an interpreter that it just was the three of us, and what an experience. I hope I'm sure you've come across something like that, but I guess lately it's been events, finding our groove, upgrading some of our looks, because we just want to be that sharp look, and we're trying to be there for that, but we're always trying to be useful and entertaining, like just like you do with your show, James. Like, is this gonna bring some value to the audience? Are you gonna learn something new? Maybe you'll win a prize. It's always something like that. It's like it's the talk show I had in my heart since I was a kid, and it's coming out of me now, and it's so fun. And I'm proud to say, I hope you don't mind, but we're coming on as one of the many sponsors, partners, friends of Two Rivers Comic-Con 2026, because we had so much fun last year. I hope you don't mind me saying that we're just really excited to be part of it again. And I see your announcements on Two Rivers Comic-Con and Geek Me Radio. We're really excited to be a part of it. So that's going to be fun.
No, I think it'll be a great time. And yes, I try to be entertaining, but useful is nothing I've ever been called. So, but I appreciate you trying there.
That's our twist, I guess.
It's a good twist to have. That's fine. Again, Logan Janis, Mostly Superheroes podcast. You can check it out wherever you get your podcasts from. The event, again, coming up on September the 20th. In Old Florissant, Knights of Columbus Council, 2951. If you go to teamjakey.org /events, you can click on the map. It'll take you right to it if you have not been up to Florissant lately. I was raised in Florissant. I went to Walker Elementary. Everyone said, where'd you go to high school? I'm a Hazelwood Central kid. So I love Florissant. I love all the stuff that anytime they have an event like this one that's being put on up there, I'm a fan. Check out Hendel's Restaurant in Old Florissant too. Not a sponsor, but I love the place. And again, you can donate via PayPal if you're not going to be able to attend this event. Otherwise, check out the raffles, check out the silent auction, check out the helicopter landing. How cool is that? Last word, I'll leave to you, Logan. Anything else you want people to go home with regards to this event and your podcast?
I'll definitely give Hendel's a big shout out. They're definitely a sponsor of Team Jakey.
Good. I figured they would be.
Yeah, they're part of the action, as is so many companies and local individuals, business owners, leaders, and everyday folks. So I just can't stress enough. This is a party for everybody. You can win free tickets and learn more about it. The folks from the group come on our podcast all the time. So mostly superheroes.com. People always tend to forget that first word I've learned over these years, mostly.
Okay.
So I try to always say, like, that word gets you free stuff. Like, mostly get you a free beer at Four Hands, any Four Hands location. If you tell that to your bartender, you get a free beer. if you use the word mostly at the Voltron store, that's 15% off any Voltron gear. People forget that Voltron's right from here in St. Louis. So we're trying to help people remember it with free stuff.
Yeah.
Check out the podcast, but most of all, come out and see us September 20th. That's this Saturday for all the fun, all you can eat and drink. Watch some cornhole, get in on it next year because we're going to have it this every year. It's the 12th annual Gentleman Jake's Memorial Cornhole Tournament. That's at teamjakey.org.
Teamjakey.org, fighting to end the stigma around mental illness and suicide. Logan Janis, as always, I love talking to you. You're a great guy. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. We'll talk again very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, James, a pleasure as always. And yeah, we'll be talking a lot because we got a lot to plan for the big event in 2026. So the countdown's on. I don't care if you're saying it's too early or not. It's not. Two Rivers is coming.
It is.
Well,
quicker than I would like, but it's sneaking up us. But yes, as always, thank you, Logan. Appreciate it. Take care.
See ya.
There he goes, Logan Janis. Make sure you check out again. We're going to have that link in the show notes. If you were hearing this after the fact in the podcast form, scroll down to the bottom of the page and check out the link there. If you missed the event and you're not in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles surrounding area, click on the PayPal donation thing, a very worthy cause indeed. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come right back. We're going to have Kristi Grabow on talking about the Wonder Museum, another fantastic group, nonprofit, working for victims of domestic violence. We're talking with her right after this. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550. Please stand by.
You can do it, Upsy, baby. She's getting a ball by herself.
Quick, get the camera.
I knew you could do it.
How did she do that?
You just pull the string, press the button.
Upsy baby starting to stand. She gets up by herself now. She looks so proud. Let's give her a hand.
That's my baby.
Up, Upsy baby. Upsy baby, the doll that stands up. She's new from
Attention all Ghostbusters. Be on the lookout for haunted humans. Wanted, Granny Gross. She's no sweet old lady. Wanted, Tombstone Tackle. He's no hero. Wanted, Ex-Cop. He's not on your side. To catch these ghosts, you need the real Ghostbusters. There's Peter, Egon, Winston, Ray. Each sold separately. They're running out fast.
I got a wazoo, I'm gonna snuzzle.
Name's Hippopotamus.
Cuddly as can be, 'cause she's part hippo and part bunny. I got a wazoo, I'm gonna snuzzle.
Name's Bumbleye.
Cute as he can be, 'cause he's part lion and part bumblebee. I got a wazoo, I'm gonna snuzzle.
Name's Ellery.
Funny, yes sirree, 'cause he's part elephant, part kangaroo. Oh, bro! Give me a snuzzle, wazoo.
Wuzzles come with their own storybook sold separately from Hasbro.
And now, another Tycho
Episodes without the ads.
Well, hi there, sugar. This is Lenore Zan, Rogue, and I am coming to you from Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. Want to make sure we tell you about our official comic book sponsor, which of course is Bugs Comics and Games. If you've not been out lately, if you're like, man, I keep seeing all these comic book movies are coming up. I know Avengers Doomsday is coming up next year. I want to be prepped for all this. What kind of reading order? If you're like my friend Janelle, who just started going back through and reading Secret Wars. If you're wanting to get that reading list complete, if you're wanting to find out what comic books you need to read, go see Larry at Bugs Comics and Games. He's right there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon. Easily accessible from either Highway 364 or Highway 70. You can go check him out. He's got new issues every Wednesday when new comic book days come in. It's like Christmas once a week. Every month. It's great. And then you can go for your back issues too. I always say it's not a real comic book store if they don't have back issues. He's got long boxes galore, hitting every price point you could want. If you're wanting the first appearance of Galactus, he's got it in his case. If you're looking for Web of Spider-Man number 42, some offbeat comic like that, he's probably got it, and it might even be in the dollar box. So make sure you dig through all the stuff. It's a great place to go if you're just wanting to have that camaraderie, because I know a lot of people these days, their comic book store might have closed down. Not the case. We're very lucky in St. Louis to have Bugs Comics and Games. And if you want to check them out online, maybe you're not in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, you can go to facebook.com/Bugs Comics and Games. Also on Instagram, Bugs Comics and AND Games. And if your local comic book store closed, as I mentioned, he can be your new local comic book store online. He posts stuff like that new Batman #1 that came out by Matt Fraction, or he might post a back issue. He's got a Golden Age Marvel comic. He's like, let's throw this up on Instagram. And if you see something you like, say, yeah, that's what I want. He'll send you a PayPal invoice. You pay the invoice. He ships it securely to your place, wherever you have it shipped, and he can be your new local comic book store online. We're living in the future, in case you didn't know. Check him out, Bugs Comics and Games. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. And no better segue for my next guest than having a comic book sponsor to talk about. We've got, joining me now, Kristi Grabow, talking about the Wonder Museum. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't have you potted up. Thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Me.
Of course. So I met you at Terrificon, which I love. You know, if you're listening, Mitch knows he's that's one of my favorite probably the best Comic Con in the country for my money.
Awesome con, for sure.
And you had such an incredible display, and I'm walking by, I was like, gosh, I don't remember seeing this. It was just incredible to browse everything. And we got to chatting. What an impressive collection. You can see, for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can see some of it back there. That's amazing.
Yeah, if you can see what is behind me, they are the tall IKEA bookcases, and I have 3 of them absolutely jam-packed. That is just what's behind me, not including all of the action figures that go up the walls, posters on the ceiling, statues and collectibles are on a little table across the way. There's a lot in one room.
And at first I'm like, well, this must be a store. You're selling stuff like this. And then we got to talking, and this is the start of, and a very good start it is, a museum. Tell people a little bit about, first of all, let's start with just the origin of where this idea came from.
Yes. So prior to collecting anything at all, I was actually an EMT for 8 years until I hurt my back. So I just needed a hobby, needed something to kind of keep my mind off the injury. So I really liked Wonder Woman. I liked comic books. And my husband, who at the time was my fiance, was very encouraging, considering I only started collecting since 2018.
Wow.
Yes. So that is also why I said very encouraging. But once I started getting more and more items and realizing, pop culture and especially comic books and superheroes, they still bring people together from every generation. Mentioning my booth that was at Terrificon, I had ages from, I think the little girl may have been 7 with her dad that brought her own little DC superhero girls action figures, all the way to people who, no offense, could be my grandparents who remember, Linda Carter in her heyday as Wonder Woman in the 70s. So to me, seeing as I collected more and more, it bringing people together, I said, you know what? I don't want this stuff just to sit here. I want it to be able to do something. So my private collection is turning into a public museum. Our very first pop-up was the booth at Terrificon this past year. So it actually was last month, August, at Mohegan Sun Casino. And all of our proceeds then and now go to survivors of domestic violence. And during that 3-day con, we actually ended up raising $350.
Very nice.
For survivors of domestic violence. Thank you.
Very cool. And I know you said you're looking for a permanent place. This is so once you get a permanent place established, because you've already got the charitable organization thing locked in, correct? So
correct.
Now it's just a matter of raising the funds to get the museum up and running. Is that correct?
Correct. So partly funds, partly location. So as we all know, especially if you have a small business or some kind of endeavor like that, where you have a landlord or, rent hikes and location and all those kinds of things. My goal is to be able to, so we are based out of Connecticut. my goal is to have a home in Connecticut with a few acres of land. That way we have more than enough space to build its own building on our property. So if anyone's familiar with Connecticut, there's actually a museum in, I believe it's Cheshire. It's called the Barker Animation Museum. It is so worth going. They have stuff, I mean, Disney tin toys from, I think, the 30s or 40s.
Oh, wow.
Gunsmoke toy, like anything you could possibly imagine. It's multiple floors. They ended up having to add a building. Well, I saw this and I said, having its own building would be a perfect way to still have less overhead. It would be on our property, not directly in our home, but it also would be so much easier not having that overhead to donate all admission. And the biggest reason I also want to have a space for it that is separate from our home is I also would like to have, this is kind of the end goal, that what we really want to do. The museum is great to bring people in and to get that admission. I would like to have space in the museum to have women's workshops. So all too often we see, you know, survivors of domestic violence or women that need to start over and they don't know where to start, or not everyone starts on the same footing.
Sure.
We could teach things like financial literacy, basic auto repair, basic home repair, all these things that you may not know where to start. And being an adult, you quote unquote should know how to do. Well, not everyone has those abilities to learn those things. So we would like to be that stepping stone and have that space to be able to, you know, teach people who need to start over.
Did this, obviously this is a this particular charity is incredibly worthy. There's a lot of charities to pick. Did this, I hesitate to ask, but hopefully this is not something, how did you settle on this charity? Did you, as an EMT, I'm assuming you probably saw some cases, which obviously is going to hit someone very hard and really resonate if you see up close and personal, something like that. Was that something that kind of made you decide that this was the charity? What kind of, what led you to say, this is, of all the charities, I want to do this one?
Absolutely. So being a first responder for so long, not only did I work as an EMT for a while, I actually worked as a tech in an emergency room. So say you are, I basically between the emergency room and the ambulance would see people often on the worst day of their lives and would have to try to do what I can to make it better in that moment. I can't fix everything, but I am there to help.
Yeah.
And even when I worked in the emergency room, it's more often, I would say, with the first responders, but there aren't often as many female first responders as there are male first responders. So when there are those delicate situations like a domestic violence situation or an assault or anything like that, you know, then you realize how much may be missing in that community that needs that kind of support. So once I couldn't do it anymore physically, I still realized somehow I want to make this better or provide some support where there may not be.
And no better symbol for that than Wonder Woman. I mean, not only is she great strength, but also hope and grace and the wisdom and all the things we associate with this particular character. Was that, do you remember the very first piece? Because you've got so many pieces. Do you remember the very first piece you got where you're like, I'm going to start collecting one? Because that's a very niche field to collect in, but obviously there's not a shortage of things to collect.
There's not. There's not a shortage. So comic books alone, I don't know if you're a comic book collector either. Someone at a local comic book shop, I heard your intro about local comic book shops, always supporting local comic book shops. I love seeing what they have. You never know what you'll find.
Right.
But someone at a local shop told me about this app called CLZ to easier document my comics. I have over 700 comics now, so it began to get a little difficult. Yes, you use it too. Awesome.
Wonderful. It's wonderful.
It is. It's so helpful. And I love that they added the feature where you can scan the cover and it lets you pick, because you know, some of the 60s and 70s books, you either have like the Whitman variant or you have the regular one. So it lets you at least pick, you know, what it is. You can add if it's autographed, you can add what you believe the grade to be, or if it's already graded. And I have quite a few that are signed. Also, I even have a George Perez #1 that is signed by him. Yeah, that is away in the vault and nice and safe. I would say one of the very first things that I had that made me think, I'm definitely going to collect this, was when I was young. So I always wanted to collect, but when you're a kid, you don't really have that much lunch money left over. And when KB Toys was still a thing, I have a Barbie doll, and I believe it's somewhere up there on the safe on the bookcase. But I have a KB Toys Barbie, and it still has the sticker on it that my mom bought from me. And it wasn't a collectible one. It was a Wonder Woman Barbie that was meant to be played with, and she had like a fake little lunchbox and what looked like rain boots instead of her actual, really good boots. But that I was like, oh, she's so pretty and she's so strong. And yeah, that was my very first collectible. But the Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited, that was it for me. I was like, she is the coolest character ever, and she is so smart and strong and such a big part of the Justice League. I was sold.
And I think, I know you and I talked when we met up at Terrificon that Susan Eisenberg's now become a dear friend of mine. We host a separate podcast that she and I do called Justice League Revisited. And you said you got to meet her at one of the cons, correct?
Yes, at Terrificon. Don't quote me. It might have been 2022, I think.
That sounds right, yeah. Yes, it was.
Her table was so busy. And I at least got to meet her, and she was lovely. And there is, I guess we'll say, a project I'm working on. I have a very large poster of when Justice League, the animated series, was just coming to Cartoon Network. And it had, the original, 5 or 6 members of the Justice League. And I've gotten most of the signatures. I got Kevin Conroy, Susan, and Carl Lumbly. And the only ones I'm missing are George, Maria, and Michael Rosenbaum.
Okay. Well, Maria, I just saw is doing Fan Expo Dallas. So if you're interested in going to Dallas, Maria will be there. So.
Oh, trust me, I wish. But she's been actually, I think, to either New York Comic-Con or Terrificon before, but I think I didn't go that year. But it's a work in progress.
Yeah. No, she and George were both there in 2021, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because Mitch was supposed to have all 7 of them the first time they'd ever been assembled. And then COVID happened. It was like, oh my gosh. Yes. So that went away. But then he kind of had them brought back individually. So George and Maria came, and then it was Susan and Phil and Kevin the next year. So hopefully he'll be able to bring Michael and Maria and George all up there so you can get those last 3 signatures.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I need those. I did meet Carl Lumbly at this past Terrificon, though. He was so wonderful. Yes. He was such a nice man.
Yes.
And all I did, so I was actually often too busy to even leave my booth. So I had my poor husband running around getting autographs and handing out cards and things like that. So he actually brought my poster up to Carl Lumbly to get it signed because I couldn't be away from the booth for too long. And then later on, it was almost closing at the end of, I think it was Saturday. And I finally got to go up to him and I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Lumbly," introduced myself, told him that my husband came and signed that, and just shook his hand. And he was such a nice man.
He is wonderful. We had him in here this past May for my Comic-Con, Two Rivers Comic-Con, and we brought in Carl and Maria, Susan, and Phil. And Carl,
awesome.
Carl, just everyone loves Carl. He's
not
that everyone else wasn't also nice, but Carl is just one of those, you feel like you've known him your whole life when you meet Carl.
Yes.
It's just a wonderful guy.
Very welcoming.
Tell you what, do you mind sticking with me for a little while longer?
Yeah, totally fine.
Okay, we're going to take another quick commercial break so we can get that out of the way. If you're listening right now, we're talking with Kristi Grabow about the Wonder Museum. We're going to get into some more things about how you can help, about what there is coming up, and more. We're going to get into all that. Stick around. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS.
Sets, each sold separately, new only from Tyco.
I know a boy, his name is Zach. He loves to fit, he loves to stack. Yes, construction is his knack. He's Zach, the Lego maniac. He builds in the window, he's off the wall. He builds them big, he builds them small. In Lego land, he'll rock and roll. He's Lego wild, out of control. Zach, he's a Lego maniac. Zach.
Legoland, King's Castle, Airport, Cosmic Fleet Voyager, sold separately from Lego. Switch on Chargertron, robots like you've never seen. Switch on Chargertron, supersonic machines. Rev the meter till it's red. Launch out the tracker. Switch on Chargertron, now it's an attacker. Switch on Chargertron, always changing, rearranging. He's surprising. He's disguising. Chargertron.
Chargertron. There's Protagatron and Antagatron, each sold separately from Buddy L.
Earth's most powerful soldiers fight the spiral zone.
Gentlemen, in an effort to crush the zone, Dirt Courage commands the most powerful machines on Earth, the Rimfire Cannon.
Bombs away!
And the Zone Rider Cycle. Only their awesome power can defeat the evil overlord's Bullwhip Cannon.
Have a nice trip!
And monsters.
Dogtown Pizza. Let's cheer on those Missouri Tigers. M-I-Z. D-O-G. Dogtown Pizza and dogtownpizza.com.
Hi, this is Shannon Farnan, the original voice of Wonder Woman, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Since we're talking Wonder Woman, I had to come back with Shannon Farnan. If you missed one of those interviews I did with some of these other, we've got obviously that we're coming up. This is show number 481. So we're coming up on our fifth. I almost said 500. Boy, you can tell I went to public school. 500th broadcast. If you missed one of these great interviews that I've done going back now 9 years, go to geektomeradio.com. Joey V's loaded them all up so you can check those out. You can go through and click by celebrity. It's like, oh, Shannon Farnan, there it is. Or, oh, you had Ed Asner on your show. You click that interview, whoever it might be, directors, writers, producers. I love the stuff we've done. I love the people I've gotten to speak with and the people I've gotten to meet over the past 9 years of doing this show. And speaking of traditions, Christmas traditions right around the corner. I know the weather's just starting to turn. You're like, it's just fall. Let's not put up the Halloween decorations yet. Let's kind of ease into it. But Halloween, Christmas, coming right up. We're in the last quarter of 2025, and no one does it better than St. Charles to blow out the year. You're going to start in October with their Legends and Lanterns Festival. If you're a fan of Halloween, those middle 3 weekends of October, you can go out there and you can interact with the likes of Lizzie Borden. You can talk to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You can sing karaoke with Phantom of the Opera. You can find witches with Betty Paris. All those kind of fun things are all going on out there in St. Charles along the cobblestone streets. It's the perfect area to do something like this. You can almost hear the horse beats on the cobblestones. No offense to Ichabod Crane, who you can also meet if you're out there in St. Charles. So interact with all these historical characters from literary and historical references. It's a lot of fun. And then right around the corner, Christmas traditions. This is their 51st year. They just celebrated their big 50th last year. So you can go out there and interact with the international gift givers from around the world, like La Befana, Père Noël, Father Christmas, and of course, traditional Santa takes over the Katy Depot every Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But on Friday nights, you can go and see Krampus. So if you like the spookier side of Christmas, you can go see Krampus, play games with the Kali Consoroi, interact with the Mary Lloyd, and have all that fun Nordic traditions and things that they bring to the mix. A lot of cool things going. And of course, on Wednesday nights, their Christmas Carol Stroll. You can actually walk through a Dickensian story, see young Scrooge and his engagement to Belle. You can interact with Tiny Tim. They'll have vintage toy merchants showing off toys from the 1800s. And then you get to the final thing with Scrooge and Jacob Marley. It's just a picturesque tableau, especially when it snows out there on the cobblestones. All of this, everything I've just mentioned, check out the website, discoverstcharles.com. Click on the events tab. That'll give you the stuff. And whether or not it's September or December or October, when it is, there's always something happening in St. Charles. Fantastic restaurants, awesome shopping experiences. And these are all small businesses. You're not going to be able to go out there and eat at Hardee's and then shop over at Target, which you can way out there. But why do that when you can have dinner at Salt and Smoke? You can get macarons at Sugar and Slice. You can go shopping at Cozy Shop or First Capital Trading Inc. All these really cool stores. First Capital Trading Inc., you pop in there, you might actually see Ashley Eckstein running around, the voice of Ahsoka Tano, because she loves Disney and Star Wars stuff. And Randall at First Trading Inc. has a bunch of cool Disney and Star Wars stuff in his shop you can only get at certain retailers, and he's one of them. So again, if this sounds good to you, check out the website, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Speaking of good time, talking about the Wonder Museum, We've got a little bit of time here left with Kristi, and we want to make sure I mention the social medias because you mentioned off air one of the unboxings you did, and that's something that if people want to see some of this cool stuff that you're getting as you get it, they should follow you on social. So before we forget, give out your socials, please.
Yes. So we are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all as _Kristi with an I. And Kristi is spelled Kristi. On YouTube, I posted quite a few videos already of anyone who donates items to display at the museum. We want them to know that they are also a big part of the museum. We have a display that came with us when we were at Terrificon last month, and it will be up whenever we're doing pop-ups and when we have our physical location. Anyone who donates items, their name gets put on the wall of Amazon's.
Oh, how cool.
So basically, that's our donor wall, and it just lets them know that we appreciate you. You are part of the museum. And I also make unboxing videos when things get sent in. The craziest one I got sent not too long ago, actually, was from Lisa in New York. She plastic wrapped, must have been a 32-gallon plastic tote, and shipped it to our P.O. box. And our P.O. box is 204 in Glastonbury, Connecticut. And I believe it is 06033 is the zip, but all of that will be on social media as well. And thewondermuseum.com. We're working on getting a newer website up, showing more of the collectibles, interviews like this that we do, and interacting with more of the collector type community. I'm always looking to try to find things I don't have because that is starting to be a little bit harder to find things I don't have.
I guess I hadn't thought about that, but I mean, because obviously there's a lot of stuff. And like you said, you didn't even have everything with you when I met you in Connecticut. But some of the stuff that I didn't even know exists, like I didn't know that Milton Bradley made a Wonder Woman board game back in the 70s, which I was like, because I love seeing the old art on some of those, the art for the game boxes and everything like that.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. And that's kind of what drew my eye to it. And I didn't even know they made such a thing.
Yes, I have some of the stranger or the more rare things, I guess you could say, that they made. Multiple super powers, board games or floor type games. I had a Wonder Woman marionette string puppet from the 70s with rollerblades, roller skates for children in the 70s that were equally as creepy. Please look them up if you haven't. They are plastic and terrifying. One of the things I like to find are the almost offbeat or the harder to find items. I have a box of tissues that is more than half full, not used. Thank you.
Good to know. Good to know.
Good to know. From 1978, and it still has the old Wonder Woman logo on it, where she looked more like an eagle instead of the W.
Yeah.
And it's a pink box. Looks like a regular box of Kleenex, but the tissues are pink, and it's mostly full. And I was like, this is so cool. I love seeing how advertising changes through the years, which is also why I have actually a lot of food packaging as well. Behind me, I actually have a Kraft macaroni and cheese box that expired in 1999.
Obviously, if the apocalypse come, I'm sure it's probably still edible. So
absolutely, dried pasta and radioactive cheese. Why wouldn't it be?
And I grew up as an 80s kid, so the Superpowers line of figures you mentioned, that was my still. I just had a conversation with someone on Twitter. I said that's to me a top 10 toy line still to this day. And the Wonder Woman figure they had was a really cool thing, and the art on the blister by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, who is absolutely one of the hands down most brilliant artists there. See that? Yeah,
I was gonna say, like this.
It's very similar to that. Yeah. That's the Toy Biz, I think.
Yes, I think this is the. Let's see. Yes, I believe so.
And that the only difference with that one was in that one she's got the one arm that throws the lasso, whereas the Superpowers she does the deflector bracelet thing with her arms. So
I have that on the shelf behind me somewhere. I have a whole shelf of just action figures, and had to get little acrylic risers so you could actually see them all because I have too many.
Well, one of the questions too, and I know we've got just a little bit of time left, but in organizing all this, I'm assuming there's a Google Docs spreadsheet. So that if someone sends you something, you like, do I already have one of these? How do you check that and make sure it's not a duplicate or something? And then what happens if someone sends you a duplicate? I assume you still display it, obviously, or do something with it, or donate it to a toy, like Toys for Tots or something. What does that work?
Yes. Oh, James, you are asking a loaded question. No, I did start a spreadsheet, a Google Doc spreadsheet a while ago. I will be honest with how often things come in. Sometimes it is hard to keep up. I do keep up with donations. So when donations come in, I make sure that I write down who donated it, when it was, what they gave. What I actually did was anything that was a duplicate that we had, I made sure I got in contact with the person. If I already had it, we sold it, and all of the money from that duplicate also went to charity.
That's
so that
brilliant.
way it's not like you donated to me, it's going to something else. So all of this is actually self-funded. So all of these pop-ups, well, we've done one pop-up so far, but that is self-funded. You know, any of the advertising we do is self-funded. Videos, we do it all ourselves. It's my husband and I. So it's a team project. Team, my husband and I.
And once again, I apologize to my listeners. I have been neglecting the chats. We've got, I see Shannon has checked in. Hello, Shannon. You are correct. Yes, September is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month is September. So yes, thank you, Shannon, referring to our last guest, Logan Janis and Team Jakey. Kevin Cerise is watching. Hello, Kevin. Andy says, always good to hear from my fellow Florissant geek. Andy, appreciate that. I know we bonded over being from North County. Emily Stawinski is watching from Baldwin. She says, this museum is going to be amazing. I see domestic violence survivors as brave, bold, strong individuals. So it feels so beyond fitting to connect Wonder Woman to this mission. I 100% agree with that. We want to make sure, too, if people are listening, because the biggest thing, obviously, to get this off the ground, if people want to donate, maybe they don't have a Wonder Woman thing, but if people are like, gosh, this is an incredible thing she's doing, how do people donate?
Yes. So the wondermuseum.com has all of our information. We have PayPal, Venmo, contact us through our social media. If there's maybe, networking or interview opportunities or any way you think you could help. Even at Terrificon, we met a number of, clinicians or people that work with survivors of domestic violence currently that, could help us set up those workshops even earlier if we don't have a physical location. Hopefully we can still do that even before, so that way it won't have to wait.
Yeah, so the workshops can be kind of a pop-up, if nothing else. They can have like a little thing for
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool thing. Like I said, it immediately caught my eye as I was walking through. I'm like, my gosh, that's a lot of Wonder Woman stuff.
Yeah, we had to rent a U-Haul and bring as much as we could, but it was not everything. It was not even close to everything.
My gosh. And so what size building do you expect this to fill? Like, obviously you must have, if you're already planning to build something, you must have an idea of what square footage you'll need to house it, or is that, let's get the land and let's figure that out first and then we'll work on the design for the building?
Yes, I definitely think it is more, let's get the land first, because as we all know, the housing market is not the easiest thing right now. So trying to find, again, because this is all self-funded, trying to find a home we can afford with some land in Connecticut is easier said than done. But we have already looked into getting like a metal prefab building. So basically those like separate garages that people get to work on their trucks and things like that. We could insulate that. Obviously, we don't need or want windows because then that sunlight could possibly damage any of the collectibles.
Right.
But as long as it's temperature controlled, so the vintage items especially remain safe, that's kind of our goal right now.
Perfect. We're wrapping up here very quickly. The wondermuseum.com. And again, we'll have links to Kristi's social media handles, Instagram, TikTok. It's at @Kristi with an I. Will have links to those so you can keep up with her, all the unboxings. Kristi, thank you so much for your time. Very noble effort that you're doing, and we wish you all the best with it.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Be well.
Have a great day.
You too. There she goes. Thank you very much for listening tonight. All of you who I tried to pay attention in the comments. I always say I'm going to be better. I never am. Let's face it. My brain is not working as well as I'd like it to all the time. And I always forget something, whether it's a comment or whether to get out on time, which I almost did right now. But we're playing the outro music. There we go. I'm out on time. Want to make sure we thank, again, Logan Janis. Check out the Team Jakey event for ending the stigma for mental illness and suicide coming up Saturday up in Florissant. Make sure you check out the Wonder Museum. We'll have links to all that in the show so you can keep up with Kristi as well for all of her stuff she's got going. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to Bugs Comics and Games. Thank you to DiscoverStCharles.com. And thank you to Joey V for making the show look and sound as good as it does every single week. Next week, tune in. We've got the voice of Storm Shadow. Keone Young is going to join us talking about his career. The week after that, we're going to have Sean Gunn on the show, who you'll be able to check out at GalaxyCon in St. Louis here in October. So until next week, my friends.
That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Paradise Island. Good night.
From ABC News, I'm Wayne.
The Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
The stars of Severance